to have a workshop. Look at all those smiling faces. Ms. Marlis, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Please stand. Right hand over your heart. Ready to begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Shona, can we have the roll call, please?
Mrs. Davidson? Here. Mrs. Hill? Here. Mr. Forehand?
Here.
Mrs. Cattouli?
Here.
Mr. Fayette?
Okay, adoption of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Also move that we approve as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. No opposed, I'm assuming. Passes 5-0. All right, well, moving on to our workshop. Miss Reed, let's go. We're going to recognize the 2023 National Merit Scholarship Program students.
Perfect. Thank you so much, President Forehand. It really is an honor every year to be able to recognize just an outstanding group of students who really put forth I'd say above and beyond when it comes to academics and the seriousness and preparation of their course of study at Los Alamitos High School. So I always get the question, what is National Merit Scholarship Program? And so just to make sure people can recognize at what level of exemplary performance these students were at, the National Merit Scholarship Program really is one of the most prestigious merit-based scholarship programs in the nation. Every year, a little over 1 million high school juniors enter the competition for a National Merit Scholarship. High school juniors must earn a top PSAT score to be eligible, and then the application process for National Merit Scholars really takes about a year from there coming into the senior year. So the National Merit Scholarship uses its own selection index to determine which students qualify as commended students, semifinalists, and then really finalists or award recipients. And so in general, students who score in the top 3 to 4% are named commended scholars. So 3 to 4% of the nation. So that's this tiny little bit, right, of students. And so we are so blessed here in Los Al when you see how many commended students we have. And then students who score in the top 1% are deemed semifinalists. And then around half of the finalists, so less than 0.5%, are actually receive a National Merit Scholarship. And many high schools can go multiple years without ever having a National Merit Scholarship winner. And so we are really fortunate that year after year, we have students who reach this really pinnacle level of success. So it really is my honor to recognize these students tonight. And so commended students, we have Joshua Cho.
As we call your name, if you're present, come on up. We have a certificate, and then you can stand in the middle, and we'll take pictures of all of our winners before we move on to the next agenda item.
Perfect. Anissa Claire. Taylor Donato. Samantha Ito. Fausto King. Sean Kelman. Matthew Kim. Maximus Kubis. Christopher Lavallee. Irene Lee. Dean Mack. Wyatt Madison. Megan Nakasone. Jamie Nguyen. Una O'Farrell. Allison Q. Riley Yu. Nora Zajon. Then I'd also like to recognize Miss Una O'Farrell, who's standing here, as she is also the recipient of the Northrop Grumman Scholarship. And then certainly, we want to make sure we honor, really this is 0.5% in the nation or less, a National Merit Finalist and Scholarship recipient, Tina Lee. And perfect, why don't we give them, oh, Papa, absolutely.
We have no money, no budget, but we do have outstanding medals to give you. Now, I realize these certificates are not, but these are, really valuable. But we have a big one for our national.
Tina Lee.
I feel like my brain suddenly expanding.
So really just also like to extend a big heartfelt thank you to the families and teachers that have helped these students get here. To have 21 students recognized at one high school really is just unspeakable. Some districts don't have 21 students with multiple high schools. So just congratulations. Thank you so much for your dedication, your compassion, for really just modeling to the exemplary level what it means to engage in academics at Los Alamitos High School. And so one more last round of applause for these students.
That was wonderful.
Okay.
And for your families.
Thank you. Perfect. We will. So this probably is one of my favorite nights of the year, and it really is just a privilege to have this position and have the opportunity to work through a 5-year professional development cycle with our teachers. So whether teachers are brand new to LaSalle and it's their first year teaching, or whether you have 20 years of experience and you're joining LaSalle as a first year teacher, you engage and become a part of our professional development learning cohorts. And so the cohorts stay together for 5 years, and they really do engage in what we consider this tool belt of our signature practices. And so as a unified school district, having solid signature practices that really stay with the student from transitional kindergarten all the way through high school really helps us maximize instructional time inside the classroom and really gives our students this ability to transition from elementary school to middle school and high school, really just adding to their toolbox with teachers who use the same foundational language and work with students in a way that really helps them achieve their maximum benefit. And so we really are blessed here in Los Alamitos Unified that when we post for a teaching position, we get an outpouring of applications. So over the past week is just a great example. We had a math posting at the middle school and it yielded 75 applications. And so I really think that says a lot about the teachers who teach with us, first of all, that they are really just a strong, knowledgeable, that the culture that they have amongst each other really is at the highest level. But not only that, our students, our parents, and our district administration and board really valuing and supporting professional learning for teachers, because this really is a profession. We really do believe that when people choose to work here in Los Alamitos Unified, they're choosing a career, right? A lifelong passion and not just a job that they're coming to. And so much like a doctor or a dentist or someone in another field would engage in ongoing learning and acquiring of best practices, that's also what we hold at the core of our commitment here in Los Al Unified. So it's always a great day when we have a cohort of teachers coming to the end of that 5-year milestone. And I'll have to admit, this is an interesting cohort because smack dab in the middle of our professional learning was the pandemic. And so it didn't really look exactly like our 5-year track had looked previously, but then again, teaching and learning didn't look exactly like what teaching and learning had looked like previously. And so what I can say about this group of teachers is they're flexible with a capital F, right? Flexible, they're student-centered, and they really know what it means to do what's right and put students at the heart of decision-making. And I think that's something all of our teachers did during that really tumultuous time in public education. And if you were new to our culture, you probably had to push just even a little bit further to make sure that your kids were getting nothing but the best. And so there is a team of us here at Ed Services that really supports this plan. So I do want to welcome my director, Melissa Davis, to the podium as we hand out our blue jackets. And then also really recognize our educational technology coordinator, Dr. Dan Bennett, who really is also at the core of the work that we do at the district office to be able to provide professional learning to our teachers TK through 12th grade. And then I would really be remiss without really honoring, or I'd say our unsung heroes, and just our best practitioners of language and mathematics instruction at the elementary level. And so our TOSAs, Evan Grandin, our literacy trainer and coach, and Ms. Jill Cruz, our CGI math trainer and coach, who really give 150% every day to coach teachers in their classroom, to meet students where they're at, but also to make sure that our instructional practices here in Los Al Unified really are the best of the best. And I think proof is in the pudding, right? So we're #1 or #2 in the county ongoingly in state testing, and we're always ranked in the top of closing the achievement gap for students. And I think when we talk about what parents want for their kids, it's really that that dream of endless possibilities or igniting unlimited possibilities. And these ladies help make that happen in classrooms every day. Although they don't have their own students, they are servicing and supporting students across the district. So just a big thank you and a kudos to Mrs. Cruz and Ms. Grandin. And so I'm going to welcome each of our 5-year award recipients up here, present them with their blue jacket, which for us really is a symbol of a legacy in Los Al at this time, right? That you've been here, that you've chosen to make this your professional home, and you've chosen to engage in instructional practices that really make a difference in the lives of kids. So I'd like to welcome up Mrs. Martha Chavarin from Los Alamitos Elementary School. And then after you get your jacket, we'll have you come to the front of the dais as well for a photo. So congratulations, Martha.
Martha Wade from the Board of Education, who also, even though we have no money. There you go. Congratulations.
Mrs. Christina Cryer, Los Alamitos Elementary School.
We're proud. Almost. Hey, don't say almost as great as the jacket.
Mrs. Joanna Steigen, McGaw Elementary School. Valma Frere, Rossmore Elementary School. Miss Alexandra Gahungu, Los Alamitos High School. Mr. Alan Grant, Los Alamitos High School. Mrs. Jennifer Letourneau, McCullough Middle School. Mrs. Julie Lines, McGaw Elementary School. And Mrs. Lauren Ty, Oak Middle School. So I just want to thank all of you, each of you, for really the dedication and compassion that you bring forward every day inside your classrooms. Los Al would not be the school district or the individual schools it is without teachers like you that show up every day and literally give your heart and soul to our students. So thank you from our Board of Education, from our community, from your colleagues, for really just for engaging and being the best that you can be for our kids every day. Congratulations.
Once again, stay up there. We'll take pictures. We don't want to hold anybody hostage if they have to leave after they've been recognized. So we're going to move on to the next item, which is really an opportunity to stop and just say thank you and to recognize two exceptional individuals who came out of their normal role in the district to really take a larger leadership role. And so this year we found ourselves with the need to find two different interim principals or admin designee, TOSA. I mean, we created a really long title for them. And so it's just, we could not have gotten through the school year without the exceptional leadership, support, genuine love and care that both Laura Trotter and Val Miller has brought forward to us. So I'd like to bring them up and talk a little bit about each of them and the recognition that they deserve. So Val and Laura, come on up. So as no stranger to us this year, we started off the year and within probably less than a month, give or take, of the school year, we had a vacancy of the leadership at Lee Elementary. And immediately I went down and met with the leadership team and actually the entire staff at Lee Elementary about how do we want to brainstorm to really provide the support for Lee Elementary. And in a matter of days, the staff really rallied behind one individual. And it was Laura Trotter. Laura has been an exceptional teacher for us in this district for numerous years. I had the extreme pleasure of being able to hire her when I was principal at Lee Elementary. And she's a one who just leads with her heart. She's very student-centered. She has, and this is true of Valerie as well, who's just very unflappable, patient, but nothing seems to, at least outwardly, rattle them. I'm sure internally we all have that. Myself included. And Lee didn't skip a beat. And I have to give it as well to the staff at Lee Elementary who really rallied behind providing additional support to Laura and the rest of the Lee community. Laura has acted in every capacity this year as the principal in so many ways. She's brought on a number of just different ways to support our students, to support staff. I love one of her mantras, which is, and really teaching kids and teaching staff that they can do hard things in the face of challenges. And she just lifts kids up. As you know, she's been an exceptional educator for us for numerous years. Next year, talking about expanding different roles. Next year, she will be a TOSA on special assignment supporting all of the school sites and classrooms, really in the area of social emotional learning and student behaviors and ways that we can really make connections before we make correction. And so I just want to, on behalf of all of us here at the district level, and I want to thank our Deputy Superintendent, Andrea Reed. She works extremely closely with all of our elementary principals, but really took the time so many times throughout the year, one-on-one, weekly, with both Laura and Val. And so I want to thank Andrea for providing that leadership and support as well. I know that they are grateful. So first and foremost, I'd just like to thank Laura Trotter. Let's congratulate Laura.
Thank you very much. It has been an honor to serve in this capacity. I have learned so much about being a leader, stepping into this role, and really having a bigger heart for admin, what they have to go through. And, you never know until you're in those shoes what it looks like. And, my deepest respect for anyone that is in leadership. And it's been a really great honor to get to know my staff better, being pulled out of the kindergarten classroom. So it's been a great year, a challenging year, and I'm ready to take on a new challenge next year. So thank you very much.
I was going to ask Laura tonight to tell us her biggest aha, but with my two grandsons being at Lee, I was afraid it'd be about them. So I decided I would stop that. But on behalf of the board, we greatly appreciate you stepping up. They get a big medal for keeping that ship afloat, even though I don't follow your directions in driving through the parking lot.
Yesterday, oh my goodness, I had to scold you in the parking lot.
I said that my only privilege as board president was the way I had to go through
You know, our parents don't always follow our lead too in the parking lot. Can be a level of frustration for many. So thank you, Laura. We are just indebted and just in awe of the work that you and support that you provided the entire league community, and you still are providing that as we move forward. Then I'd also so fortunate to be able to have a bench. You know, when you think about what we are as a district, that we're really fortunate and blessed to have a bench of educators who continue to want to find ways to cultivate leadership skills within themselves. And so at Rossmore Elementary this year, when our principal Amy Colty was going to be out on maternity leave, I don't recall, I was in HR for 8 years, and I don't think I ever had to find a coverage for a principal out on leave. And so I'm just so grateful that when we took a look at how we could handle this situation, we reached out to staff. We worked closely with our association as well to really see how could we provide the support. And one of the individuals that came to mind was Val Miller. Val Miller has been an exceptional teacher at McAuliffe Middle School, working with our social studies team, but is also one who's just been completely connected to kids. She organizes the Washington, D.C. / New York trip along the way. So always finding ways to kind of support kids outside of school as well as within school. And then has served as our summer school administrator at the elementary level for the past, I think, 2 going on 3 years. Her first year, she served as the assistant principal for summer school of our elementary program. Last year, she served as principal. And this year, she's also going to be our elementary summer school principal. And just got real hands-on experience in what it is to lead. Our summer school program is a large school. It's almost as large as one of our elementary schools. It's north of 500 students each year. And so she's really been able to do just a smooth, seamless job there. And then I was so impressed when I was working with her throughout the year at Rossmore. And I know the staff were. The staff just felt that she was someone that they could rely on. She was always organized. And she brought new ideas as well as keeping the traditions alive at Rossmore. And I think that was important, knowing that Mrs. Colty was coming back. But I loved visiting the Veterans Ceremony. I think it was she was probably barely in the role for less than a week. Maybe it was 2. And I've been to the Rossmore Veterans Ceremony before, and she just found a small little nuance to add where I think she brought a rose to the students who were recognizing their veterans, and just continued to honor the spirit of the Rossmore night as well as find ways to help elevate it. And so we're so grateful. I know Mrs. Colty is as well, because it really allowed her to be able to be at peace, to really be able to be with her newborn child. And so the Rossmore community is also extremely grateful. So I just want to send a heartfelt thank you to Miss Valerie Miller as well.
Thank you for this opportunity. It's been the best year of my life this year, but I would agree with Laura. It's a little breathtaking how much work it is to be doing this. But going from being in middle school for 21 years to go to elementary school was just a joy every day with them. It never got that bad. No matter how bad it was always so fun. I think my greatest legacy at Rossmore will be that I got them a new copy machine. And I am a hero to them, and we're good with that. So it's been a great experience. A little bit of summer academy with elementary, but then having this year was just wonderful. And I made some great new friends with the teachers and the staff over there. So I really appreciate the opportunity that you guys gave me and trusted me to do this work. It was heavy work, but it was a wonderful year. So thank you so much for that. So thank you, everybody.
And on behalf of the board, you finally get your medal. You've watched me give them out all year, right? Thank you for all you do.
And my first day, we actually had a fire.
Yeah.
That was our first, like, the teachers come out like, what are you doing? But it was a real fire, so that was our,
Thank
you.
You're welcome. Thank you. So as Laura and Valerie go back, I also wanted to thank our elementary principals and assistant principals. They are an exceptionally collaborative team. And so to have 2 brand new members come onto the team, they just really wrapped their arms as well around Valerie and Laura. They have a great collaborative text message thread that they support one another in. And so it's really a blessing to be part of our elementary admin team. And a little bit later, we're going to be introducing two principals who are going to be on that admin team, one who's already and who's going to be in a different role, but they'll really learn to see what an exceptional and collaborative group that our elementary principals are. So I want to thank them as well.
Thank you. Moving on, we're now going to recognition of 5 Community Advisory Committee Award recipients, and I had the pleasure as the SELPA rep to see them get their awards. This is very special, and Miss Grace, right? Grace.
All right, so good evening, President Forehand, esteemed board members, Dr. Pulver, and all the community. I'm super excited to be here tonight to represent or recognize our 5 CAC award recipients. The CAC stands for the Community Advisory Committee, but I think most of us refer to it as the CAC. So just a little bit about the CAC. It's comprised of parents as well as staff members from the 6 school districts that make up our SELPA. So we're part of the Greater Anaheim SELPA, which includes mostly elementary. We're the only unified school district, and then we have Anaheim Union High School District. And so the primary purpose is really to facilitate communication and understanding and leading to improved special education programs. So the CAC award recipients, so any parents, staff members, even students can recognize individuals who go above and beyond for students with special needs. And so these individuals were nominated by parents, staff members, and community members for their contributions to not only the academic, but social, emotional, or growth with our students with special needs. So I'm gonna recognize each person, and I'm gonna have you join me. We have one recipient that's not here this evening, but when I say your name, please come up, and then I'm gonna talk about you and provide you with a certificate. So our first recipient is Mrs. Jean Ruiz. So come on up. So Mrs. Jean Ruiz, she is a current speech and language pathologist at Hopkinson Elementary School. She's really been an integral part of our district for the past 25 years. She's actually retiring this year, so it's a huge loss for Los Al, but such a gain for her, I know, to be retired with her husband who's sitting back there. And so I'm just going to share a little clip just from the nomination form. So I'm a parent of a student with ADHD, and Mrs. Ruiz has so little time allotted with my son, but I can hear her words come through my son at dinner more than any other adults that he comes into contact with. When I volunteer on campus, I see that the kids are so excited to spend time with her. She's making all the difference for my son's ability to socialize well at school, and we're so grateful for this. This is so crucial for his self-esteem and means so much to our family. Congratulations, Jean. Thanks, Jean. And then our next award recipient, who is not with us this evening, is Matthew Middow. So Matthew Middow is one of our education specialists from Los Alamitos High School. He has worked in our district for the past 4 years. So a little snippet from his nomination. He's contributed to the social, emotional, and academic advancement of students with special needs beyond measure. He maintains high standards and helps students reach their goals in a supportive and caring environment where students thrive. He takes personal interest in student success, even going as far to attending sporting or student events where his students are participating to lend his support on his own time after hours. His students beam with happiness and push themselves harder every day because he creates an environment where students feel proud and want to live up to their potential. Mr. Middow is caring, academically challenging, funny, interesting, creative, and aspirational. The kind of progress his special needs students make during their academic journey due to his teaching style and leadership is exemplary. I can never thank Mr. Middow enough for his monumental role in the development of my son. So congratulations, Mr. Middow. And then our next recipient is Mrs. Karen Moffitt. Let me make sure this is your right one. No? Is that in order? There it is. Perfect. So Mrs. Karen Moffitt is a current education specialist at Los Alamitos High School. She has been working in our district for the past 30 years. It is my absolute pleasure to nominate one of my favorite people in this world, Mrs. Karen Moffitt. We owe her lots of gratitude for all that she's done for our son. She is kind, loving, and patient, and has a lot of great ideas that are beneficial to our son. Her knowledge working with special needs children is inspiring and admirable. This is for sure not just a job, but a passion, and that alone is hard to find. It's amazing how she adapts to the students' needs rather than insisting that the students adapt to her. Mrs. Moffitt is not only a kind human being, but an angel to our special needs students. Congratulations, Mrs. Moffitt. Congratulations. Okay, and last but certainly not least, we have Nathan Berger and Hayden Moy, so come on up. The twins. Did you guys plan your outfits? Or?
Every day.
All right. So both Nathan and Hayden are both general education teachers at Los Alamitos High School. And in addition to their teaching position, they also coach our boys varsity basketball team. And so a little snippet from their recognition. Nathan and Hayden stepped up this year to help a student with a disability at school. The moment the two of them were approached about mentoring a student who was in need of an activity after school, they embraced the opportunity. This student identified a strong relationship with both of these teachers, having had both of them, but more importantly, for the love of basketball that he was exposed to from his sibling. Nathan and Hayden immediately knew there was an opportunity for this young man to join the varsity boys basketball team as the team manager. Not only did the team welcome him that day, every one of them showed up as a unified team in their gear to support the student at some personally challenging events that he had to attend. Our student was highlighted at the senior night basketball game and was often seen scouting games dressed in matching coach attire. What these teachers provided for our student goes above and beyond kindness, empathy, and support. They've created a positive and safe space for him on campus, friendships that will last a lifetime, and help shift a traumatic time into an opportunity for connection. The self-efficacy that these two coaches gave to the student during his lowest time changed the trajectory of the student's self-worth and future. They gave him a school family and a village that he could call his. So congratulations. Thank you so much.
Wear these together tomorrow with whatever outfit you're doing. Congratulations on behalf of the board.
Do I get two?
No, you didn't get two.
Yeah.
We should give this to your student.
So once again, just one big round of applause for all of our 2023 CAC Award recipients.
Yeah. Now we're going to move on to introduce the new principal for Lee Elementary School, and Dr. Pulver.
You can tell he's from the district. He already knows to come on up. Congratulations, Gary. I am so pleased to introduce our new Lee principal starting for the 23-24 school year is Mr. Gary Willems. Yes. So as you know, Gary is no stranger to LoSal. He's been in education for over 15 years, where he served as a teacher at Oak Middle School for us, and then was assistant principal at Oak Middle School as well for a few years, and then has spent the last 6 years at LAE, which is what he would say is the school, the place to be, is really kind of the motto for LAE. And so Jenny, you're going to be at the place to be shortly, for sure, which we're going to introduce Jenny in a little bit as well. And so Gary has just been an exceptional leader at LAE. He has really helped that school in terms of get national recognition as a national blue ribbon school for closing the achievement gap. And he works so closely with our staff, with our students, with families. What I love is when I was meeting, and probably really says a testament about who Gary is and the type of leader that he is when we were meeting with staff at LAE and parents at LAE when he has been selected, and we were asking, well, what do they want in a new principal? They were just describing Gary. And what they were saying was that Gary is such a humble leader, that he's a man who does not hold grudges. He's not too proud to have difficult conversations with individuals and yet not have it hinder the relationship, that it's okay to agree to disagree, and yet they still really move the organization and it doesn't hurt the relationship, that he has an open door policy, that he's always available to parents, to students, that he is super organized, he's there early and has his attention to detail, that he can be silly, that he can find ways to just really connect with our kids and to help motivate and inspire them, that he supports our teachers. And so as Lee was looking for a principal, one of the things that was just not part of our culture, at least in LoSal, is we don't transfer principals. And so if someone is interested in having a new assignment after 6, 7, however many number of years, they have to go through the process again. And the community at that school site has to really want to be invested in that leader. And Gary rose to the top. He was part of a robust pool of applicants for Lee Elementary. As you know, in our applicant pool, in our process, we include multiple rounds of interviews with teachers, with the leadership team at the school site, parents, board members, other administrators, and Gary just rose to the top. And one of the things that I know that he's really looking forward to as well is supporting the Lee team. He really believes strongly in being there and running towards our kids, and also building up culture. I love the A for the day that many of our schools do, and Gary is a champion for that for our students. And so without further ado, I'm just so pleased to be able to recognize and introduce our Lee principal for next year, Mr. Gary Willems.
I could have listened to that all day. I like that. President Papa, esteemed members of the board, executive cabinet, and of course, Dr. Pulver. It just humbles me to be a part of such an amazing place and to be in such an amazing district with people that are so supportive. Thinking about the first time I was introduced, I didn't know what to say. I think I summarized it as thank you. The second time I learned, and I brought my family. And this time, really what I want to convey is that it's amazing. This will be my third school in LoSal, and everyone is unique and different, but everyone is absolutely amazing. The decisions that the board makes and the direction that we get from executive cabinet really makes this so that this district is like no other place in the world. When I left Oak, I said, why would you leave a school as beautiful and as amazing as this? And then I got to LA and was like, this is awesome. Jenny, don't listen to where somebody tagged our sign. LAE is the place to be. Don't worry about that knot. We'll get that off there. And LAE is an absolutely amazing school with such a great staff, such great students, and a community that really came together to get us through COVID. And when I look at Lee, and what inspired me about Lee is their teachers go out of their way to make sure that their students succeed. They literally will do anything they can for any student. student, whether it's a student that has special needs, a high achieving or low achieving student. They are just a dedicated staff. I can be silly at times. Somebody may have inspired me to try to ride one of those bouncy balls earlier today because it was our field day. I am too old for that, so that hurt my back pretty bad. But I'm looking forward to creating memories like I have the last 6 years at LAE, the previous 7 years at Oak, and now the foreseeable future at Lee. So I thank you all for this opportunity and for the great district that we've cultivated together as a team. I did bring some family members. My bestie, Nadia Williams, came to support me, so. I have my sister, Michelle, who actually used to teach at McGaw Elementary School and is now in Santa Ana. And then my parents, Rick and Shirley Williams, the most amazing people in the world.
That's all I got. Great. We'll take your picture in a minute. We'll take yours and Jenny's together, I think. So Miss Jenny Padilla, will you please come on up here and join me? So it's my esteemed pleasure as well to introduce our newest principal for Los Alamitos Elementary, LAE, for the starting the 23-24 school year is Miss Jenny Padilla. Jenny is an exceptional educator. She's been in the Lawndale School District her entire career. 22 plus years. And if you think about having a longevity and a sense of loyalty and dedication to not only to students and to a community, but to a school district, it certainly is inspiring. And we were so fortunate to be able to select Jenny in that same rigorous process that I described. And I know, Papa, you'll be happy to hear. I know sometimes we think that just because I'm a Trojan, that we only hire Trojans. That is not true. Mrs. Hill, you'll be excited as well. We have a formal Bruin here that we are hiring. Jenny did her undergrad, a double master's degree at UCLA, and she's just really been a champion for students. When in her leadership roles, she's been a principal at the elementary level, all in Title I schools for the last 10 years, and just exceptional leadership. She was an elementary teacher as well as a middle school teacher, and then a TOSA as well, and right before being a principal. When I called and checked references, her superintendent, who had just retired this past year, probably couldn't have said anything stronger than said, out of all the years that I've been a superintendent, Jenny's one of the strongest principals I've ever had the pleasure and ability to work with. And that just was resonant through our interview process. You could see that she has a passion for kids. Her eyes light up for when we talk about students and families. She has a passion for inclusion and trying to meet with different groups of parents and students and making sure that school works for all of them and not just some of our students, which is something that we often say is a passion of ours. She's bilingual. Spanish was one of the primary languages that was in her home at an early age, and so she's fully bilingual in English and Spanish, which will serve the needs of our community at LAE and really all of us. And what I loved in the interview process was, from an instructional leader as well, that she's so gifted. It was evident, and she could talk so well, having such a deep instructional knowledge in multiple subjects, in English and math, et cetera. And that was really kind of what we had heard from her previous superintendent as well. And so as we were interviewing her, particularly with the exec cabinet, we said, I think we have a lot to learn from Jenny as well with her robust experiences in Lawndale and Title I schools, working a lot with positive behavior intervention supports, multi-tiered system of supports as well. And so without further ado, I'm going to introduce Ms. Jenny Padilla, the new principal at LAE.
Not as tall as everybody here. So good afternoon, distinguished board, cabinet, and guests. I'm very excited and honored to be here and to have been offered and accepted the position of principal at Los Alamitos Elementary School. I'd like to introduce my family. You'll see my very proud dad over there, Richard, my stepmom, Linda. They have some Trojan in them, but my dad's truly a Bruin. My son, Ryan, my daughter, Maya, and my husband, Kevin. So I'm thankful they could be here today. I want to copy Gary's first speech and just say thank you, but I feel like I followed you, so I need to say a little bit more. But what initially drew me to the Los Alamitos School District was I saw very quickly that the mission and vision of Los Alamitos aligns with my personal educational philosophy. And when I was reading the district website, the school website, the single plan, I just kept nodding my head. I'm like, this is what I believe in, this is where I want to be. But what made me really fall in love was the culture. From the moment I applied, talking to Miss Miller and going through the interview process, anytime I stepped into the district office, the warm texts I received when I got the job, I've never received so many happy face emojis. These are my people. And I fell in love and I wanted to be here. And aside from when my husband proposed to me, I don't think I've ever said yes so fast as when Dr. Pulver offered me the job. So those things are just, this is why I want to be here and dedicate the next chunk of my career. And I was so honored to meet some of the Los Alamitos staff today. Thank you, Gary, for bringing me on campus. It was nice to meet all of you and Nadia. And I'm excited to meet the rest of the staff. I'm excited to meet the families and to collaborate with everyone to continue the great work that's happening in Los Alamitos. So thank you.
Gary, let's take a quick picture of our new principals that we're introducing. Papa, and then we'll take a picture separately with your family. You can take a picture with your family.
Oh, great. Okay.
This is why we color coordinated.
And neither of you need to be disappointed you didn't get a medal.
It's hard. It's hard. You got to win national merit.
All right, Gary and your family, why don't you come up and we'll take a quick picture, and then Jenny will take a picture with your family. You can. Sure. All right, Ms. Dia and your beautiful family. Hey. Come close to the center. All right, thank you.
We're discussing, do I have a motion to move public comment up so the kids, they don't have to wait?
I so move that we move public comment up to before the recognition of the 2022-2023 retirees.
Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. So now we will invite them. I think they're in the lobby. Okay. Do I need to read that one? Okay. The board welcomes input from the public. This is the opportunity for community members to address the board. Persons wishing to address the board should complete a speaker request card, which I have 4. Start of the meeting, each speaker is limited to a maximum of 3 minutes. And where was I? Public comment is limited to a total of 30 minutes, so we're within that. Comment cards can be submitted to the district office anytime after 9 a.m. the day of the board meeting and will also be accepted at the start of the board meeting. A speaker may not relinquish her or his time to another. When addressing the board, speakers are requested to address the board from the podium, state their name, and adhere to the time limits. The board may not take any action or discuss any item not appearing on the posted agenda and cannot immediately respond to public comments. Speakers are cautioned that under California law, no person is immune from liability for making intentionally false or defamatory comments regarding any person simply because those comments are made at a public meeting. Ms. Alana Vasquez? Okay,
Yes.
Alana.
Okay. Honorable board members of the Los Alamitos Unified School District. My name is Lana Vasquez, and I'm currently a junior. Together with my peers, we developed a document to address the issues that we and former students have been speaking about for many years. Our document begins with a statement of the issues, followed by a 5-point program to serve as our framework. Issue. Students experience various forms of discrimination and hate related to identity, such as racism, classism, ableism, homophobia, transphobia, sexism, and other forms of oppression. Students do not feel understood or safe when they go to administrators due to inadequate training and their inaction when they are made aware of these issues. The current consequences fail to address these injustices and provide no genuine opportunities for learning or healing for either party. The current restorative practices are not authentic and are part of an ineffective form of consequence, thus perpetuating harm for minority students and hindering any change, while enabling an unsafe learning environment. Below is our 5-point program modeled after Los Al's 4 A's. Number 1, acknowledgement. Students do experience discrimination at school, and it does affect their learning and well-being. The district must acknowledge that they do not have a sufficient restorative justice background and that they need to invest in authentic restorative justice and ethnic studies experts to facilitate that work. Number 2, accountability. Teachers and administrators, including board members, need long-term training by anti-racist and credible restorative justice and ethnic studies professionals. Students must be held accountable for malicious or aggressive behavior. Number 3, awareness. We need to be aware that this is an ongoing process and we must be committed to a long-term sustainable practice, while acknowledging that the current protocols fail to keep students safe. Number 4, action. These practices must be systematic, ongoing, and implemented across the K-12 curriculum. All students deserve ethnic studies and restorative justice practices. We need to commit to an unwavering effort that combats hate by learning, reflecting, and growing as a community. Number 5, agency. Center and include student voices so that they feel empowered, important, and humanized, but do not expect them to propose solutions. That responsibility is entrusted to administrators and educators. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Alicia Tan. I'm currently a senior at Los Alamitos High School, and tonight I'm speaking as part of Los Al's Ethnic Studies Club. I just want to start off by saying that I think it's great that you all make an effort to attend so many school events. I saw President Forehand and Mr. Fayette at the orchestra and band concert last night. I think it really shows that you're dedicated to us kids, and that's why I'm really hopeful that you take everything we're saying right now into serious consideration as you move forward. I wanted to focus on a specific point of the 5-point plan that was just shared. I want to talk about action. One of our biggest asks is that these practices are systematic and implemented at all levels, kindergarten through 12th grade. President Forehand and Mrs. Davidson, you heard directly from us students yesterday how much of a positive impact ethnic studies has had on our lives. Every student deserves to have the same experiences we had from the very beginning of their schooling. I've heard some people say that they don't think younger students are ready to learn about racism and discrimination. Some also say that learning about it will promote it. I don't think either of those points are true. I have a vivid memory of learning about how disfigured people can become through excessive drug use when I was 9 at Lee Elementary. I remember a police officer coming into our classroom and explaining to us that drugs can kill. And obviously drug addiction is a serious issue, which is why our district starts teaching us at such a young age why it's bad. Why can't the elimination of racism and discrimination be the same? If these young kids can handle learning about the danger of drugs and learning about different wars, they can definitely learn why it's important to spread love instead of hate. They can learn that words hurt, and they can learn that making fun of someone's race, identity, weight, or anything is harmful. At the last meeting, you praised this district's current consequence system for the way students walked out of the Saturday sessions, truly understanding why they shouldn't make racist comments. And that's great. But my question for you is, why is that the first time they're learning they should be saying this? They shouldn't be saying those things. Why does someone have to get hurt for the district to teach students these things? We should be learning from the moment we start making connections with kids our age that we shouldn't be hurting each other. Do you see us up here? Do you hear us? We're hurt, and we don't want more kids to hurt in the way we have. Please understand why it's so important that we take action throughout all grades, not just middle school and high school. Thank you.
Thank you. Stephanie Tellez.
Good evening. My name is Stephanie Tellez, and I'm here today as a parent to urge this board and administration to maintain a quality ethnic studies program here in Los Al. I am aware that many of you here today fought to establish the current program being offered at the high school. You received backlash, threats, and perhaps experienced things that made you uncomfortable, that did not make you feel safe and made your families feel unsafe as well, just by doing the right thing. Fast forward to now. After the last couple of months, you all hearing how students you serve today are being treated in school and dealing with racist peers on a daily basis, your LGBTQ plus students sharing their stories of discrimination and bullying, and the lack of school site educator support and response, I imagine you can see how vital maintaining or even expanding to the middle school's ethnic studies classes is. I can understand not wanting to go through what you went through a couple of years ago, but just because it may be hard doesn't mean you shy away from expanding. Your students of color and other marginalized students do not have the luxury to decide when to deal with racism, homophobia, sexism, and all the other isms. All students on every campus would benefit from having increased access and/or requirements of standalone ethnic studies classes. As you move forward with planning how you will implement the required ethnic studies classes at the high school, know that this is not a class just anyone can teach effectively without extensive training, awareness of their own biases, the ability to see and understand and present curriculum through a racial and social justice lens, and above all, know how to navigate the difficult conversations that will naturally occur. This is not as simple as handing them a textbook or a pacing guide. This is not a math class where students can be taught what to do, practice some problems, and learn a new skill and take a test. There will be uncomfortable conversations that require a delicate balance of educating students and addressing how students may feel. In order to expand ethnic studies, you will not only need educators to volunteer, but you will have to make a true commitment backed by district funds and time to adequately train teachers. This summer is a great opportunity to start required training to any teacher willing to teach ethnic studies in the future. I'll end with a quote from Martin Luther King Jr. "The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy."
And Natalie Hill.
Hello, I'm Natalie Hill, a Los Alamitos High School senior. Unfortunately, we have to be here repeatedly because the same issue needs to be adequately addressed. Students who have long graduated have been discussing their experiences with discrimination on Los Alamitos School District campuses. After a public comment at a previous board meeting, you dismissed us, saying that you are doing restorative justice. What you do is not restorative justice like you claim it to be. It shows you need to acknowledge the proper depth of issues on campus. In my previous speech to the board, I did not mention my personal experiences and have hopes on focusing on our demands. It seems that our words did not reach you. We are a group of parents, community members, and students, not trained professionals. We do not have the adequate resources or the ability to hire people who are trained to implement and facilitate restorative justice and other solutions. You have the resources to do this. The only class we have felt completely engaged and safe in has been ethnic studies. In our other classes, people are talking bad about how you look behind your back, and whispers of people debating over your sexuality or identity as if you cannot hear them make jokes about minorities that involve harm. This harassment has brought into my life stuff that's truly disgraceful. I am being called a gay slur by groups of students while trying to move between classes and having water bottles and food thrown at me and my friends because we are queer. My friends being shoved by bigots who think it's funny to harm queer people. I was followed to class by strangers who had no intention but to get me to react to their verbal harassment. All this is because we look different. The CDC claims that 35.6% of high school students report racism. Though the CDC is regarded as a highly reliable source, but I believe that percentage is wrong. That percentage is higher. Higher because of fear. Fear that if we tell a figure of authority, they will laugh in our faces because they think we are being dramatic or sensitive. Fear that our aggressors' actions will worsen if we tell someone what is happening. This sentiment is carried beyond campuses. This affects students outside of school. How can we be engaged in a class when in the middle of a classroom we are unable to focus on when a group of because a group of classmates is verbally tearing us to pieces? The environment we are in is an environment of fear, not learning. We have come to school to learn, not to sit in our classes in fear. You must acknowledge that you do not have a sufficient restorative justice background and must invest in ethnic studies, restorative justice, and ethnic studies experts to facilitate that work. You must sustain this effort to support students. Without authentic restorative justice, students' well-being has been greatly affected by constant harassment and discrimination towards us. It needs to be managed. Though some of us who are speaking tonight are going to be graduating, we care about future Griffins. We care about their well-being, but the Los Alamitos School District has neglected ours. Thank you for your time.
Hello, I'm Sunrisa, and I'm a senior at Los Alamitos High School. School can mean different things to different people. For some people, it's an opportunity to learn and explore their interests. However, for other students, it's much more bleak. Approximately 30% of non-white students across high schools across the nation experience racism. The actions of other students can negatively impact what students of color view of school, which is why it's important to hold perpetrators accountable and make sure that ethnic studies is properly implemented in the K-12 curriculum. In Los Alamitos District, consequences are either minimal or not given altogether. Accountability is important in order to make sure that all students feel safe when they're on campus. During the summer of 2020, there was an Instagram account dedicated to sharing the negative experiences that marginalized students had experienced. There were hundreds of posts, and many of these experiences were brushed under the rug. The first step to cultivating a more inclusive community is enforcing proper consequences. By training teachers to deal with bigotry in classroom environments, it can significantly impact the consequences students face. Currently, many students get away with a simple slap on the wrist. This sends the message that this kind of behavior is okay or acceptable. As said by Grace Lee Boggs, an Asian American activist, you cannot change any society unless you take responsibility for it, unless you see yourself belonging to it and responsible for changing it. Dismissing the problem will not make it go away. Implementing change within the school system may not be quick, but if ignored for any longer, it becomes a ticking time bomb ready to explode at any second. During my time in Los Al School District, I've experienced my fair share of racial harassment. People said ignorant things about me, and I wish some sort of action was taken. Since a good portion of racism happens in elementary and middle schools, it isn't taken as seriously as it should. If this behavior is excused early on by stating that the perpetrators are young, the flame will get bigger and harder to put out. Accountability is an issue in high schools as well. I've heard and experienced many instances where school officials mishandled instances of bigotry. As a district, it's important to take all students into account, not just the straight, white, wealthy ones. All students from all backgrounds deserve to feel safe. Thank you very much.
Sure. Well, I know the board can't respond to public comments. I can certainly give a little bit of information and kind of echo some of the things that we said in the past. As a district, one of the things you even probably heard me say it earlier today, that we want to make sure that our school systems work for all kids and not just some kids. And that is an ongoing area that we continue to look to how we can support all of the needs of our students. As I shared at the last meeting, we're certainly not the perpetrators of these acts of discrimination, of hate, but as a school system, it really is our job when incidences occur. How can we teach? How can we intervene? How can we support when those situations occur? We actually have provided a lot of training. We are not the restorative justice experts. We don't claim to be. And so we seek outside consultants who, this is their work that they do. And through our Ed Services Department, we trained, had multiple sessions of restorative practice trainings for many of our administrators. We're continuing to expand that and look in that option for next year. It is a continual focus that we will be having on as we look at different professional development consultants just in the past 2 months that we've met to see how to continue further enhance that. But it is not accurate to say that it is something that we've turned a blind eye to. That's been something that we've put a pulse on and want to continue to support and get better, because it does pain us when our students are suffering. From the human lens at the elementary level, we really focus on what it means to be a good individual, a good person. The whole even social emotional aspect of taking a look at that with our students and character building and character education. Our elementary schools and many through a variety of different ways, really try to enhance what it is to how to treat students well, how to treat kindness, create a culture of care with that. In terms of responses, the restorative approach is really when we look at what the education institutions, how they are dealing with situations of discrimination and racism. The current model really, it has moved for the past several years away from a suspension model because what we find is the rate of recidivism is just continuing. And where do we as an education system actually step in and provide greater education? Now, education alone doesn't mean it will stop the incident. I think human beings are complex individuals. Our job as an education institution is to be able to help support that piece, and that is really the area that we continue to take a look at. It is an area that we have taken a look how are other districts handling these situations, and we are handling them in the same way that really what the best practices are. Now, can we further support training and development for our leaders? Yes, for our teachers as well. But this concept of, I want to be clear that ethnic studies, social justice, and restorative practices are not synonyms. They're not the same thing. They have some overlap for sure, but really what we want is we want all of our teachers, all of our educators to be able to meet the needs of our individual students. And what we heard from numerous parents and students over the course of time is that every teacher should know how and be equipped, be able to teach all students of color, students who are LGBTQ, all of our students. And so the other area and lens that we're really taking a look at is how do we provide culturally relevant instructional strategies for teachers. And that is another area that, as I shared at our last meeting, that we're embarking upon how to provide more training and support. We've worked with the Howard Group in the past. We're continuing to look at how to work with the Howard Group for other trainings for multiple teachers to be able to provide that, because it can't just be one ethnic studies class or two ethnic studies class or three ethnic studies classes. It has to be something really infused, and that all of our students, all of our teachers feel culturally competent to be able to meet the needs of our students that come across into their classroom every single day. And that's the work that we're going to continue focusing on because our kids deserve that.
On now to go back to item G, recognition of the 22-23 retirees.
So last week, we had an opportunity to really recognize our district retirees, our employees in this district who have really devoted their life to public service. For some of them, their entire career in public service and in education and working with supporting our youth has been here in Los Alamitos Unified School District. And for others, they've had a career in public education or in different ways, and only some of the years are here. But we wanted to find a way to really highlight all of our retirees, and so I thought I would do that through a superintendent's report. One of the things that we say and truly believe that we are a people business, and we wouldn't be anywhere we are without exceptionally dedicated, hardworking staff, both in the classroom, outside of the classroom, within food services or in the clerical or on our transportation, and just a myriad of occupations to really help our youth thrive and really plant the seeds along with our families for unlimited opportunities. And so I want to recognize all of our retirees tonight just briefly. We had a couple new ones added since our retirement ceremony last week. But Ronald Schaefer, who's been an exceptional bus driver for us for the past 3 years, and has had this was really his kind of where he's ending his career, but certainly not where he started it. Patricia Williams, who works at Los Alamitos High School. She's a student supervision assistant in a few different other areas as well, has been with our district serving and supporting for the last 4 years. Carolyn Cosaras works at Los Alamitos High School, food service assistant, has 11 years of service in public education. And we're so thankful for Carolyn. Ben Siniza, as many of us well know, he's been with us in public education for 15 years. He was an employee of the year for us, actually, at one point. Painter and custodian. He's worked at Los Alamitos High School and supported the auxiliary. When you work at the auxiliary, you really kind of support all the school sites in different fashions. Doreen Gerda Johansson, who's the Rossmore Elementary School office coordinator for 21 years. It's going to be hard to imagine Rossmore without her. She's just done an exceptional job, but we are so thankful for Doreen and her service. Mary Forbes, who's just an exceptional instructional aide and has worked in a multitude of different areas. And it was so nice to be able to see her come back for the retirement ceremony last week, spending 24 years in special education. And it was so neat to hear the stories of how students and families really champion the work that she's done for our students. Piper Bruculari, math teacher at Los Alamitos High School, and she really talked about how this was really her second career. She was an engineer first and has 26 years in her career, and we're really proud to be able to acknowledge her retirement and her service to the district. Mr. Pat Bay, McAuliffe Middle School, spent some time before McAuliffe, but before McAuliffe, he was a STEM teacher. Here, he was mostly a math and science teacher. 27 years that he's retiring with service in education. Jacqueline Post, who served, I learned this, and I've worked with Jackie in a number of different ways over the years, but I didn't realize that she had so many different roles before she was a ed specialist, a SDC teacher, that she was an IA special ed. In the classified role, she was a student records clerk as well, and then she's been a special education teacher for us. She's worked at Oak Middle School and Los Alamitos High School 27 years as a part of her total retirement. Miss Linda Krebs at Lee Elementary, I believe she shared all of those years, 30 years as a classroom teacher. She is just an exceptionally gifted teacher who is extremely creative, always finds ways to kind of improve her craft, and how to support her colleagues as well. So she's just a blessing and will be missed as well. Miss Lisa McClellan, who just has this gift of writing and prose, and she loves, writing and poems come to life, but so does science. It's such a gift to be able to visit her classroom. She's been at McCaw Elementary School. I didn't know this either. I didn't know that she served as an administrative assistant prior to being a teacher, but 33 years that she's retiring with in this process. Debbie Brocious, who retired just towards the start of this school year, worked at Oak Middle School and Los Alamitos High School. She's been an elementary teacher early on in her career, but mostly for us, she's been an English teacher at Los Alamitos High School, and just beloved. Some of you may know she started before really the paperless classroom, before we really were in this digital age, and so really kind of a trailblazer there. We got to recognize her earlier tonight. She's certainly deserving of so many awards and received the CAC award from our SELPA. But Miss Jeannie Ruiz, who's worked at McGaw and is at Hopkinton Elementary for the past several years as a speech and language pathologist, ending her public education career after 34 years. Ann Butterbaugh, sometimes we got to see her as I think someone quoted her as she's like the Mary Poppins of being a teacher. She can just find ways to kind of take that little spoonful of sugar and just really kind of help almost anything turn anything into a song. At the retirement ceremony, she did actually kind of sing a song, but she's just an exceptional teacher who's completely student-centered, creative, and the connection she makes with students really makes students thrive. And I think that's what we, even when I think about listening to our students earlier tonight, which we have heard them and continue to hear them, it's the connections that adults make that can also really make a difference. And Ann Butterbaugh is definitely an individual who's done that over the course of her career. Michael Ford, who has spent 35 years as an educator, is retiring. He's been with us at Los Alamitos High School, mostly as a math teacher for us. That picture says it all. It's, he's just an exceptional individual that we're going to miss as well. Newly added, we just heard words, so we wanted to be sure, because he wasn't at our retirement ceremony, we wanted to recognize and acknowledge the contributions and the dedication of Mr. Mossy Kennedy, who's just been an exceptional teacher at Los Alamitos High School. He is a passion for all of our students, for inclusion as well, and really kind of helps push, has a strong voice for students as well, and so we're really grateful for that. I didn't know that he taught history at one point. I've always known him as an English teacher, so it was interesting to kind of see that 37 years at the end of his career. And Miss Darcy Reynolds at Oak Middle School. She has worked in such a myriad of different ways and over 37 years in her career. She was an elementary teacher, an ed specialist or RSP, social science teacher, music. She's taught our kids how to use the ukulele at PE, and a core teacher as well at Oak Middle School. And Miss Kathleen Johnson, who has spent 39 years really in supporting the language development and the language support as a speech and language pathologist in a myriad of ways. Not all 39 here, but 39 years of service. She came to us. She's been at McAuliffe Middle School the past several years, but worked as well in the hospital setting, in the therapy setting, in kind of consultation with other school districts as well. Really a champion for students, but also for incoming speech and language pathology students or therapists, and having to kind of help support them as they go along in getting their continuing sort of certifications. And so over this process, over 400, total of 472 years of public service. When you combine all that, we just want to thank and honor our retirees in a very acknowledged, a special way. And I know we've done that through the resolutions that the board passed at a board meeting, the previous board meeting, as well as our district recognition. And I told them at the retirement ceremony, we're going to recognize them one more time tonight in our board workshop. So thank you to all our retirees. They certainly deserve it, as we shared at the retirement recognition. It's really time for them to really, they've put so much of their passion on hold for students and for their service. And so we wish them well as they begin this new chapter.
Thank you. Any comments? Okay, moving on then to item H, presentation of textbook.
Thank you, President Forehand. Tonight, I am bringing forward Discovery Education's TK5 science curriculum to begin its 30-day preview. I really just want to start by just a huge appreciative thank you to the 30-plus elementary teachers who served on 2 piloting teams this school year and really devoted a core of their planning time to investigating and implementing 2 different science curriculums in their classroom to be able to provide us the feedback and input that we needed to make this recommendation tonight. So that is such a large amount of work for a teacher, and so I really wanted to make sure that we give a special thank you to those teachers. So it was after 2 extensive pilots, multiple debrief meetings, that we are bringing forward this recommendation so that we will be fully aligned to the NGSS standards in our TK5 instructional program. And so it will sit on preview here in Education Services for the next 30 days. Thank you so much, President Forehand. And so tonight I am also bringing forth Frog Street, which is a comprehensive dual language program designed to meet the needs of diverse learners while supporting developmental learning options for a universal transitional kindergarten. And so we are really excited about bringing this forward.
for public preview for the next 30 days, because it really has just a host of new tools available for our UTK teachers. Our UTK teachers are some of the hardest working teachers that we have in our campuses. And as many of you know, our UTK platform is growing as the state slowly rolls back the age start date for transitional kindergarten students over the next 4 school years. And so we're seeing more kids in the UTK program, which is really heartwarming to see the little guys on campus, but really great for us to be able to provide additional support and tools to our TK teachers who are really looking to implement a curriculum by the state of California that really bridges the preschool learning foundations with the developmental kindergarten standards. And so this will also sit for the next 30 days on public preview.
We have the clicker. Good afternoon, President Forehand, esteemed members of the board, Dr. Pulver, Executive Cabinet, and our community. It's a pleasure to present tonight. I'm going to give you an update regarding our district safety measures. As you may know, we do have a district-wide safety and wellness committee that meets 3 times a year. And that committee is comprised of representatives from every school site, along with some of our local community partners and our local law enforcement agencies. At those meetings, we discuss, collaborate, and identify safety concerns. And then on occasion, we provide updates here to the board. If you recall, back in October, I presented about the Orange County's grand jury report that was out in 2017 and 2018, and they presented a report about they gave recommendations on how we can make our schools safe. At that time, I went over each of the items that they recommended in detail, and we as a district hit every single one of those items, and we had components of all of them, and we were just very proud to see that we were doing everything right in alignment with the best recommendations. Additionally, in October, I shared with you the National School Safety Report to the Attorney General. They also provided best practices, and they had 10 essential actions, and they separated them into 5 that were physical safety, 5 that were emotional safety. And once again, as a district, we hit every single one of those to different levels. So my goal today is not to rehash all of those great things that we already identified back in October, but safety is always evolving. So we're always looking at ways to improve and to add additional layers to all of the safety measures that we have within our district. So the first thing I'd like to share is, although we did have cameras at several of our school sites, now we have cameras for surveillance at every single one of our school sites. Each site has at least 8 cameras. All of the campuses have signs that are posted, which is one of the requirements. And all of our administrators have been trained on how to access those cameras. Remember, it's mostly post-event where they will go back and look at the cameras when they need to. They're not really sitting there live monitoring them, but all of our administrators have been trained to do that. Major props to our IT team and John Speratos for really working on getting that all taken care of in a timely fashion. And again, thank you to the board for supporting that, and Elvia for all of her work on getting those cameras in place. We also continue, Diana.
Dr. Free, I just want to say you also, you do such a wonderful job at our committee. And I believe that you also said, and I really appreciated this, that in relationship with the police department, and I think it was probably down at McGaw, that they realized that there was maybe a blind spot somewhere. And so you really took that feedback, and we were able to even better the system. And I just remember you sharing that story, and I thought it was really valuable.
I thank you. I appreciate that. I think it's important that even with these cameras, I know as a principal who had cameras on my site, always seems that right where you need it, there's not one there. So what we're working with our principals is to keep an ongoing list and prioritize, because there absolutely will be additional areas and we'll be adding cameras moving along. I think the main thing was that we got them all and we have systems in place now. So if we do identify just one camera in a specific location, it's not going to be a challenge at all to add that. So thank you. That's a great point. As far as additional layers, we continue to offer parent education events. We had several events regarding helping our community realize the dangers of fentanyl. And we had a presentation by Perla Mendoza that was an in-person presentation and about fentanyl awareness. At that time, we also distributed doses of naloxone, which can help save a life if somebody is overdosing. And then we've also partnered with our Orange County Healthcare Agency and the Orange County Department of Education to promote some of their offerings about parent education, sometimes via Zoom or sometimes other workshops that we've sent out via social media. Thank you, Ms. Pichardo, for some of those things. So that we really want to get that message out. We also know that our students are online way too much, and we need to teach them how to be safe. So we did have our cyber safety cop come out and do a parent presentation. We also made that presentation available online for the following week for those that missed it. And then we did partner with the Orange County Department of Education earlier in the year to offer another Zoom presentation. It was about an hour and a half on ways to keep kids safe when they're online. And then finally, Grace Delk and Educational Services really offered a lot of parent education opportunities surrounding mental health and wellness. Our own wellness counselors offered at least 10 opportunities at all levels for our parents to learn and understand more about some of the mental health and wellness challenges that our students may be going through, or our families. And then they've also partnered again with our local SELPA and with CHOC to promote their events when they come out, so that we can try to be a communicating agent for them to really give parents a multitude of opportunities. Wrong way. This was a new addition. Our Orange County Sheriff's Emergency Division recently was kind of doing an audit on all of their ways that they have to communicate with our school districts. And each school district has what's called an OA radio. And not every school district like ours was participating in their monthly tests. So throughout this year, we did locate our OA radio. We have now, it is installed, and we'll be participating in monthly tests. And that's really just another means of communication that we'll have if cell phone towers go down, internet goes down, phone lines go down. It's a radio that will reach countywide, and it's going to be another really good, helpful way to communicate in the event of an emergency. The Orange County Intelligent Assessment Center, also known as OKAYAK, they offer to come out to school sites and do threat assessments. They will visit the school and walk the whole school site with us and then make recommendations. They are absolutely inundated with requests, so we were able to at least have them come out and do a walkthrough at Los Alamitos High School back in late January, I believe, and then they will come out with some findings and recommendations based on their experience, and they'll share those with us. So that information will be forthcoming. That's still pending right now. Our Say Something Anonymous reporting system was absolutely a success this last year. We had our administrators handle 58 tips and close those and help solve problems. If there was bullying going on, they investigated each and every tip that came in. We've already had a sustainability meeting with the company Say Something to make sure that we have plans in place for next year so that we can start right off the school year with everybody with a refresher video training because students really need to know what that process is and how to use it if they do want to make an anonymous tip. And you may not know, but each school, our 2 middle schools and our high school, again, this is really focused on secondary. They have Save Promise clubs, and a Save Promise club, Save is for Students Against Violence Everywhere. And so those are clubs that are overseen by a staff member or an adult on site that really helps kids, teaches them to become leaders, to keep our schools safe and avoid any sort of violence like bullying or any threats that there might be to our schools. We have offered a lot of staff trainings as well this school year. Throughout the entire school year, there were 4 opportunities for all of our staff members to participate in first aid, CPR, AED trainings. And with the prevalence of fentanyl right now and the value of naloxone, also known as Narcan, we worked with our trainers to make that a component of all of those trainings. They did not have that in there, and it's a pretty simple training. It's a short video, but I think it's so important. So that is now included in all of our trainings for first aid, CPR, and AED. And then we also were able to offer at school sites this school year 8 violent intruder response trainings. And those are really 2-hour refresher courses that we had quite a few staff members participate. We wanted to offer them on site because that can be a little more personalized to the specific needs at that site. So that definitely was a success this year. Another really good breakthrough was in November, we didn't actually have an active shooter drill, but we had the next best thing. We had a tabletop discussion with our Orange County Sheriff and with some of our other local law enforcement agencies. They even sent some members from the grand jury who are overseeing safety. They came and kind of observed what we were doing, and we were able to really talk about what the response would look like if there happened to be an active violent intruder incident in Rossmore. So that was really eye-opening to get that discussion started. McAuliffe also was able to host Los Alamitos Police Department. The Los Alamitos Police Department collaborated with other local law enforcement agencies in December, and they had a multi-agency drill at McAuliffe back in December where they did they actually had real live simulation. I know some people said, oh, can we go over there and help? And they said, no, we actually have some projectiles going. It's a very serious drill. So, and then the Seal Beach Police Department is very unique. They're all over McGaw all the time, and they've had quite a few active shooter response trainings there. Their most recent one was in April, and they will continue to offer those. Another thing that's really important, having a daughter who's a junior at another district, I wish they would have done this program. Our high school brought back every 15 minutes, and that's really to teach the kids the dangers and the impact that can happen when somebody drinks and drives. So it's a great event. It's very impactful. It's a lot of work to put together. It's a 2-day event, and it really couldn't happen without the partnership between the administrators at Los Alamitos High School, the whole staff at the high school, Los Al PD, Orange County Fire Authority, CHP Lions Club, and really the youth center. They put on a great event, and hopefully for some that will really make a difference in their lives. And then we recently it's been an ongoing issue. I just spoke with one of our community members that these e-bikes came out before the laws came out, and the e-bikes got ahead of us, and we now are getting back ahead of them. So we offered 2 parent trainings in January where we had them not just for parents but for students, where Los Alamitos Police Department talked about all of the laws. They explained how that you can't have 2 people on an e-bike. They went over everything very clearly. We have had over 100 families participate, and then they almost had to register their e-bike. They had to prove that they participated in one of these safety courses to get a sticker that's on their bike now, and then the school can go around to check to see, hey, have you been through this class? If not, we're going to make sure you're on a list to take a class starting in the next school year. I've been in contact with Officer Sergeant Krogman with Los Alamitos Alamitos PD. We've already started planning to see if maybe we can offer the first course before school even starts. So those discussions are beginning. And then there was actually some recent enforcement by our Los Alamitos Police Department that they talked about in their parent meetings. They said, look, we're going to give warnings, but ultimately we're going to have to start enforcing. We will have further discussions regarding that, on how that enforcement can occur and how we can really make help our students really understand the importance of being safe on these things, because they absolutely are very dangerous. And then we have ongoing site improvements. These are things that sometimes come up out of our Safety and Wellness Committee meetings. Simple thing, not simple, but important things like gate adjustments. If you see the picture, the one gate is kind of open there on the right. Sometimes these gates, when parents leave or our staff members leave, the gate won't close, and now we're not a secure campus anymore. So our MOT team has helped identify a lot of these that they need those the automatic closers adjusted, or there are some gates that actually need to be replaced with automatically closing gates. And then we also recently increased the fencing at the high school. That was that one area that didn't quite get done. It looked like, hey, what happened? They didn't do the whole fence. Well, again, CJ and our MOT department got all that taken care of. So, and we continue to identify those needs when we hear from community members, when we hear from our Safety and Wellness Committee members, from our staff members. It's a never-ending process. We need to continue to be diligent to be safe as we possibly can. Like I said, it's everybody's responsibility, and I really appreciate the opportunity. And are there any questions?
I have a couple of questions. Under the list of where it's the emotional security, where you have the 10 things, the last one is social media monitoring. And I know you talked about parent night in relation to social media and working with kids. Is there actually a way that they're recommending to monitor social media?
So a couple things there. One, our Say Something Anonymous tip is one way that we are able to monitor, because we get so many times where a student will screenshot something, they'll go in to say something, they'll upload that screenshot and say, hey, I saw this posted on Instagram. We also have internet monitoring system whenever anybody is using one of our Los Al devices, that if they are typing, unfortunately, sometimes it's, what's the best way to hurt myself? If somebody's very depressed, we get alerts, and those alerts also go to the administration. We can then investigate those. If somebody is talking about drugs, alcohol, or bullying, the 2 different web filters that we have do provide us with alerts on a regular basis. Violence alerts, if there's any, it's hard when they're doing reports about the Civil War and there's guns, because we get all of these things, these reports of, hey, it looks like this is something you need to look into. So those are a couple ways that we're able to monitor that.
Thank you. And then the other one is, I think I've asked before, but so we just had the prom and off campus at Santa Anita. When there's an event off campus, is Narcan available?
So that came up, again, the Safety and Wellness Committee brought that up a while ago. I worked with, based on those recommendations from the committee, I did communicate with the high school. I talked with Cassandra Palacios, and we really identified a way to make sure that a staff member is identified as taking those things. We talked about the AED and Narcan. So when we spoke, she said there's a plan in place. I think it's already in place, but if not, it's definitely close to being there, because I think it's really important. A lot of the other venues now, especially with Narcan, a lot of the venues will have those things like an AED or Narcan because they just seem like they're so important.
Thank you. I can't thank you enough. The work you're doing literally is life-saving and promotes mental health at every level. It couldn't be more important. So thank you so much, Jerry. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Jerry, I just want to thank you for the thoroughness of this report. And it's like you said, safety has so many layers, and it's constantly moving and shifting. And we're not done, but we're in a real good place. So thank you so much.
Scott?
All right. Thank you very much.
And wait, I get to ask a question.
Sorry, President Forehand. I was trying to skip
I'm
out.
looking at Nicole, and her brain is already kind of festering about how can we make the public know how much we've done and how many things you've met. You know, how do we let the community know?
Well, I think this is on YouTube, correct? And
Yeah,
and
but-
this was something that we talked about in our Safety and Wellness Committee meeting is, one, we have to start by doing some presentations at board meetings, and that's what we're doing here.
good.
And then I'll brainstorm with Ms. Pichardo, because she always has great ideas, to maybe push this out even more.
I'm sure she does already. Thank you.
May I be dismissed?
Yes, JF, go. Good job, good job. All right, we're not going to take a recess because we're going to move on now to closed session, conference with district labor negotiation, public employee discipline, and student discipline.